from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, what's up, what's up? Hey, everybody, what's going on? You are tuned into the Drive-In Speakerbox. It is Monday night. It is 8 o'clock. It is August 30th. The last day of August is right here upon us. And, well, I guess there's a tomorrow, but what that doesn't even count. Who counts 31s? I always forget about those days. They're not important. But anyway, thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Jake, Slick Doggy.
And we have a show for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking about, I went and saw Candyman over the weekend. I'm pretty sure you didn't go see Candyman.
No. Weather and motorcycling prevented me from doing things I want to do, but I did watch Vacation Friends.
Now, what is that? That's not in theaters, is it?
No, it's a new Hulu movie, but it is like it was like a theatrical style release.
Right on.
Yeah,
So
we'll
we're going to be talking about that later in the program. And yeah, we're going to see how many times. I didn't bring a mirror. I should have brought a mirror so that you could look in the mirror 5 times and say Candyman.
No, I'm not.
You're not going to do it?
Not ever doing that. No.
Why not?
Because, dude, I don't want to tempt it. I don't want to push.
You don't want to meet Tony Todd?
I mean, I have met Tony Todd in real life. We talked about it.
I know, but you don't want him to he'll be like, come back and be like, Jake.
No. I mean,
you summoned me.
No, Tony Todd's a cool dude. Candyman murder dude, not something I want to run into.
He's just misunderstood.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to be talking about that later in the program, but we do have some news that we're going to get to in a minute. And shout outs to Dina. First one to comment over there on YouTube. What's up, Dina? Thanks for tuning in, and everybody that's jumping in on Twitch. If you've got a sub, gift us a sub. You can do that. It's fun. It's cool. You can get it on Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, go to Prime Gaming. You can gift us a free sub on Twitch, and that gives us like $5. That's pretty cool. So be sure to check us out on wherever you get your streams. So Twitch, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or download the Spotify on they get the podcast later, or tuned in, or whatever you get your podcasts. So isn't that what people they say? Get your podcast wherever you get your podcasts, because there's so many places to get podcasts. But I think there's only like one.
Yeah, I think it's smaller than what it used to be, the podcast pool.
It's people have. It's like Spotify came in and just really kicked everything backwards. So
what's going on with Vince?
Vince over on Twitch has discovered our emotes and is going crazy with the rock candy emotes. He's just getting crazy. Sam's over on Facebook is eating pork chops and loaded French fries from a Texas Roadhouse. I don't know if that. Do they have like a Dalton that works at every Texas Roadhouse?
Oh, how cool would that be?
And then just like karate roundhouse kick your mouth when you're like chewing with your mouth open, or you just like mouth off to a waitress wrong, and he just and then Sam Elliott comes out and is like, I don't think I like the way you're talking to our staff, partner.
Yeah, have Wade and Dalton. Yeah,
that'd be sick. I want to open up a roadhouse like that.
Can I be Wade?
I mean, you got to talk like Sam Elliott the whole time.
Oh man!
And you got to keep your hair down. And you always got to do that like big handhold push back that he does.
He put it back that one time. Remember?
The one time?
Well, every time he's about to get in a fight, he had to pull it right back.
Pulled it back. So anyway, yeah, we've got some news to talk about. A lot of stuff happening. Disney, of course, dominating all movie news all the time.
You don't say.
Talking about rebooting The Rocketeer.
No.
And
you don't do that.
They are eyeballing David Oyelowo as the lead, which, I mean, I like David Oyelowo. And it's like, okay, Rocketeer, there's only one way that this is going to work. And I was like, I bet they're doing the whole Tuskegee Airmen thing, because that's what everybody's doing right now. Any movie that's set in that time period, they go, let's do the Tuskegee Airmen. And so I did a little research, and yes, it is David Oyelowo as it's going to focus around that story. Who I think, what did they say? Where was the quote there?
So it would be it'd be like the same time, taking place the same time.
Absolutely.
Is he like a friend of the Rocketeer and they build him one?
It says,
I don't know. I don't like it.
It says, okay, the return of the Rocketeer says the story will focus on a retired Tuskegee airman who takes up the mantle of the Rocketeer and burns his Tookus off in flight every time. 'Cause, I mean, if you think of the logistics of the Rocketeer.
But how's he going to fight evil Nazi James Bond?
I mean, what was that? Timothy Dalton?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Timothy Dalton was such a good bad guy in that Rocketeer. I mean, who's he going to fight if he's retired? I mean, you got to fight Nazis. The Rocketeer fights Nazis. And we'll see. I'm sure there's always Nazis somewhere that they can fight. So just check Alabama, I guess. And you'll find a few. But anyway, Dina, giving a shout out over on YouTube to your shirt there.
One of the fans of our show who has his own YouTube channel that you can check out when you're not watching the Drive-In Speakerbox. 86th.
Yeah, it's a show about bartending and hospitality life. And I'm trying to get on that show pretty soon. But shout outs to Olg. The Gunder Man himself. So usually he's in the chat somewhere.
I know.
But we'll see. All right. Let's see. We got Zach's off over on Twitch asking if I brought that gift for Jake.
Is it a knuckle sandwich? I really don't want one right now.
Oh, well. Spoiled it. Well, we'll get to that later if I remember what he's talking about. I don't know. I'm always getting gifts for Jake. Oh, that gift. No, I didn't bring that gift for Jake. Anyway.
We always get things. We're friends. That's that's the thing that we do.
We give each other surprises. Also in the news, the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I don't know if you heard about this. Is going to be on Netflix now, so you guys can check it out where you stream your Netflix. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of those weird franchises that. It's really hit or miss. Like the first one was just lightning in a bottle, and they've been trying to do that same thing over and over and over. And I didn't really like the remake. Was okay. I didn't like it that much.
It wasn't bad.
You watched it?
Yeah, it was on at a bar, and I kind of watched the whole thing.
No, it wasn't bad. No, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't. I don't know. There's something gritty and tacky about the original two that are kind of just endearing. There's no chainsaw fight with what's his name? Who is it? I think it's a guy that I've worked with. Let me see. I got to look it up.
The remake you're talking is the one where it had like Arlie Ermy and everything in it, right?
Oh, yeah. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
What's the name of that?
Who is in that clip? It's
girl
just
that's in that movie.
It's just so bananas. And I want to play it on the screen, but I don't know if I'm allowed to. It's that big Texas Chainsaw Massacre duel. You can Google it. I'm trying to see. No, that's not who I thought. I thought it was Michael Parks, but
what did I just see?
He chainsawed that dude's pee-pee.
He chainsawed that dude's dick clean off.
Oh yeah, if you've done. Oh no, it's Dennis Hopper. Yeah, of course, duh. But yeah, that if you've never seen that scene, just do yourself a favor right now on YouTube and check it out. It's hilarious. It's a classic. It makes the whole second movie worth watching. Lord of the Harvest.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Mandy.
Oh, or that whole movie, Mandy.
yeah. But you know what I'm talking about? The dude has like that 10-foot chainsaw, and him and Nicolas Cage fight
just
with
battle it out.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, that's going to be on Netflix. You can check that out. What else was in the news? Everybody talking about the Spider-Man thing, which
Vince beat me to it. There is the announcement that Expendables 4 is going into production this fall, with Stallone and Statham returning to reprise their roles, as well as Randy Couture and Dolph Lundgren are coming back for their characters.
Yeah, of course.
But
no Jean-Claude, or did he got killed?
He was the bad guy.
Yeah, he was the bad guy.
He was the bad guy.
But you know what they do? They like turn them and they reform them, and they're just like, oh, you're not so bad after all. And
yeah. Well,
was Wesley Snipes? He was in one of them, wasn't he?
Was he in the last one? The third one? I don't know. But new joining Expendables 4 is 50 Cent, since he's established his relationship with Sylvester Stallone in the Escape Room movies. Tony Jaa, which is a great addition to any action movie, and Megan Fox. Why?
Because Transformers? I mean, she has been now?
Well, she does all those direct-to-DVD movies now.
Jennifer's
as her,
Body, which is actually pretty good.
Here lately,
Did you ever watch Jennifer's Body?
No.
It's pretty good.
I don't like watching movies with toe thumbs.
It's pretty good.
But she said something and did something stupid again recently, and it's made it where she's on that $5 bin movie train. But yeah, they start production on that this fall, and that is pretty exciting. Also in the news, movie stuff about China. They're finally going to open the Universal Studios in Beijing after 4 years.
Yeah, they got a new Jurassic Park ride.
Yeah, the focus there is Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, and Kung Fu Panda. And then, of course, Minions everywhere, they said. So that opens September 20th. But also in China, it came out right after our show last week. Hong Kong is redoing their laws to make it where they can censor films more harshly, just like mainland China. And they can make it where they're not allowed to screen or view any movies that affect... what did they call it? National security, that are contrary to national security, and it's also retroactive. So any movies they've deemed okay, they can go back and get rid of. So that's kind of
starting to sound like America.
Yeah, it's kind of like a scary thing. And the worst part about it is that if they choose to screen a film that's on the no-go list, whoever screens it can face 3 years in prison and or 1 million Hong Kong dollar fine.
Dang.
It's like $140,000.
But that's a lot of money.
That's a lot. Yeah, 1 million Hong Kong dollars and or 3 years in jail just for showing a movie that they're like, that movie has John Cena, and John Cena said Taiwan was its own country.
Yeah, John Cena can't be Cena over there. It's starting to sound like America. Following in our footsteps.
Not talking about
censoring everything.
Sad bummer things. Just yesterday, Ed Asner passed away.
This is true.
91 years old.
Ed Asner, what has he not been in? That dude had such a humongous career. Everybody remembers him as the fucking what's his name, the Santa Claus, but he was just like the jolly old dude in everything.
He was the Santa and Elf.
Yeah, that's what did I say Santa Claus? Yeah, Santa. He was an elf, but he'd been acting since the 1920s, man, and he was always like the crotchety old hilarious dude. And I think it was 1929. He was born there. He was acting as a fetus.
I was like, what? No. He was 91. How does that work?
He was born to act. Now he was in Up, man. Everybody knows Up. He was in John Wayne movies. He was in a bunch of different
Tyler
shows.
Moore and spinoff.
He was in
about
Cobra.
him. What was it called? Yeah. Lou. What was it? What was his character's name?
I don't remember what his character's name was.
I can't remember what the last name is.
But he was in Cobra Kai, which just got renewed for a season 5, which season 4 hasn't even been released yet. But they went ahead and greenlit it.
Oh, he was Johnny's shitty stepdad.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And he has just been in a trillion movies and TV shows. You cannot list it all. If you pull up his IMDb, you're scrolling for days. Ed Asner has been in so many freaking things. You scroll for days and you're not even out of the 90s. It's crazy. And Sam said over on Facebook, he said, so Betty White is now the last Highlander.
Hold on. Can we tell the people what Vince wrote?
So Vince over on Twitch, what did he say? He said he would hate Jake's foreign films because he hates spunk.
Wow.
Oh, and throwing in the Jake's foreign film emoji.
Yeah.
I think you're the only guy that I don't even have access to that. Only viewer that has that emoji. Look at tier 2. Look at you. But yeah, Ed Asner, man, he really, from Gunsmoke to Up, he's just been in everything. And, the fact that he was pretty much acting all the way till he was dying and then dead. He's got
movie scheduled to come out in 2023.
Dude, I just pulled his IMDb up, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 projects that were either in pre-production, currently filmed, or were announced to be working. The dude was like 91. Like, that's crazy. And I mean, it sucks for all these things that were in production that obviously are not going to get finished. So sad day. Ed Asner, man, here's to you, dude. Sad. I'm drinking cognac for those of you that are on the podcast going like, why is he so quiet?
So it has a sound effect.
There you go. Gotta get that extra Slurpee. What else going on in the news? There's an R-rated naughty cut coming out for Krampus this year, which is going to bring the Christmas classic to 4K, which you love 4K. And I don't know why.
Can they change the ending on it?
You watched it?
Yeah, we've talked about this.
The snow globe ending?
I hate it.
Why?
Because I need more
You need a
closure
happy
or something.
ending?
I don't want a happy ending.
That was the best ending.
No, because
the Krampus just, you're like, oh, okay, they all learned their lesson. Psych, Krampus has got you in a snow globe forever, you pieces of shit.
Yeah, but what does it mean? Like, I need some explanation at least.
It means they're basically in Krampus purgatory for their sins and their bad punishment.
Then why are they being killed?
Over and over and over again.
But it doesn't show them being killed more than once. It's just the once.
Well, yeah, but then the snow globe sets it up as if they're trapped in there forever.
That's not established. I don't know. It
I
bothers
thought
me.
It was cool.
Just a little bit more info would make it okay for me.
Just the epilogue.
Yeah.
Where it's like, 3 years later and they're still in the snow globe.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, well, there's an R-rated cut coming out that is supposed to be pretty fun. Can't wait for that one. Want to see that. What else? Oh, I thought this was pretty interesting. There was an interview this week, and somebody was talking to Frank Oz, and he wants to do more Muppet stuff. He really, really does, because he is basically the Muppet voice. He's the voice of everything. Like, he's getting pretty old, too. I mean, he's the voice of Yoda. I mean, he's the voice of every awesome, cool puppet. But Disney is like, nah, we don't need any Frank Oz. And
what?
I know, dude. Yeah, I was in an interview this week. He was talking to The Guardian, and he says, I'd love to do the Muppets again, but Disney doesn't want me. And Sesame Street hasn't asked me in over 10 years. They don't want me because I won't follow orders, and I won't do the kind of Muppets that they want to do. He goes, the soul's not there. The soul is what makes these things grow and be funny. I miss them, and I love them. And he's not wrong.
How do you tell Frank Oz no? It's like, hey, yeah, we know that you're like big time puppeteer voice guy. Nah,
dude. Thanks for essentially building this entire brand that we now own.
I imagine Disney just
Thanks,
looked at
but
him
no
and they
thanks.
go, Mr. Voice of Yoda, fuck off, you can. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. It's like, how does that work?
Desk, we're going to need you to move to the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the back, move your desk, you will.
You will, yes. So, I mean, that's just sad, man. Ever since 2011's The Muppets and then the Muppets Most Wanted, they kind of, it's missing some Frank Oz, man. And it's just sad. And, Frank Oz got really salty in the interview and even went as far as to say the Disney deal is probably what killed Jim. It made him sick. And, what are you going to do? Because Ed Asner wanted Sesame Street pretty hard, and Jim was not going to allow that. But, Jim wasn't a wheeler dealer, he said. Jim was more of an artist. And, that's the thing with artists is it always takes some corporate ding-a-ling coming in and going, oh, actually, this would be a real... And then they just screw them all over.
Yeah, Disney doesn't care about creators. Look up any of the lawsuits that their animators have ever put against them or what George Lucas has had to say about Disney or...
and everybody
read that interview, I guess.
worships the ground that they walk on. Or like, oh, their movies are so good. Disney died right around the time of...
When Walt died.
Well, I was going to say around the Black Cauldron era. Like right after the Black Cauldron, I just never really got on board with Disney ever again after that. There was nothing that came out that I was just like, heck yeah.
Lion King?
No, I think Lion King was before Black Cauldron, wasn't it?
No, I'm pretty sure Lion King was after.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at my timeline. But like, yeah, I mean, of course, Lion King, Aladdin, and all those. But there was just, I don't know. I think the Don Bluth split. Didn't he work? He was an animator for Disney for a while too, and that was a beginning of a weird time. But anyway, I don't know. I have to get in my Disney lore again. But
yeah, see,
Cauldron was 85, so yeah, I guess it was a little early.
Yeah, so Disney's big, huge resurgence was
right there in the early 90s, and those were good movies. But now they just haven't let those movies go. You know, everything's like, let's live action Aladdin, let's live action Lion King, let's live action Jungle Book, let's live action Dumbo, let's live action.
Yeah,
I'm surprised Disney's not behind all this weird resurgence of Masters of the Universe. I saw a really funny meme about the toys. I mean, which we have some around here, and it's just like, ha ha ha, idiots! We'll sell you the exact same toy that we sold you 30 years ago.
It is.
And
they have
it's
them
twice the price.
Yeah, they're like, look, it's in the same packaging. You can get Kenner Star Wars, and you can get original He-Man toys, and
well, the He-Man toys I saw the other day in the toy aisle that I just happened to be walking down, and it was like the same cool molds, except for they added more joints so they could be a little bit more posable.
I did have to buy like a Prince Adam on his like power sledge like thing. I could not have it. It was on sale, and I was like, oh, it's a flying motorcycle
on
with guns.
sale for a somewhat reasonable price, right? Because it was probably like $79.95.
No, it was originally like $40 or something crazy, and I got it for $15. I was like, well, I mean, it's a 15. Flying motorcycle with guns and He-Man. Why would I not have that?
And this was like last week, right?
It was a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Just making sure that we're talking about grown-ass adult you was like, gotta have this motorbike with machine guns and flies.
Kid me didn't get shit, dude. Grown-ass adult me is like, all the money will go towards toys. Yep.
Anyway, Dina and Bottle Rocket were pointing it out there. This is the Renaissance was after Black Cauldron, but there was a big rift in Disney right around Black Cauldron. That's where my timeline was getting jumbled up. But honestly, the Black Cauldron's cool. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
You know what, too? Talking about things that people hate and problems bringing things to film and whatever. I think I forgot last week to talk about how Johnny Rotten lost his lawsuit. And now FX is finally going to be able to proceed with that Sex Pistols show because Johnny Rotten was suing because he didn't like the way that he was portrayed in the book that it is based on, so he was not allowing them to use Sex Pistols music, and he lost, so now they can use actual songs and music from Sex Pistols, and it is going to proceed as planned, talking about Disney and the people that dislike them since Disney owns FX. So
Disney!
Yeah.
Hey, Loge Webb. Thanks for the sub.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate that, my man. But anyway, enough about news. We usually give it about the first 30 minutes of the show, so we're gonna pause right there. Shout outs to Counterexample over on Twitch. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. But movies coming out this week. There's not a lot of big movies coming. There's only one. There's one big movie. There's a whole lot of like smaller indie films. There's like, We Need to Do Something in the Gateway, which you're probably never gonna get. It's gonna be on streaming is what you're gonna get. But the big one that they're all going to make room for, because it's another Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, and you're the resident streaming knowledgeable guy. Is this going to be out on Plus with a premium, or is it only going to be theatrical only, or what?
I don't know. I haven't actually seen any news about whether it will be on the Disney Plus premium stream thing or not. I've only seen theatrical trailers. I imagine.
Disney did announce a 45-day theatrical window, and I don't know if that, if that was applying to
before it goes to other services, like if you were to rent it through Amazon's Premiere or Premium.
I just checked it out. It said at release, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings will only be available to watch in theaters. Unlike Black Widow, it will not be available on Disney Plus via Premiere Access on day one. So they are going to honor that. I think they're probably.
I guess that's why I haven't seen commercials.
They're not going to honor a 45-day window. I promise you. They're going to do like 2 weeks, and then by the third week, when box office numbers have been like cut in a fraction, they're going to be like, well, all right, theaters, here you go.
Yeah, they probably have something written in that says if it performs at a certain level, then it'll maintain the 45-day theatrical only release. But if it dips below whatever at a certain point, that they can do what they want with it. But also 45 days goes by pretty quick anymore.
It really does. Thanks, COVID. But Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, like the trailer's been going around. I don't think, I mean, I feel like Disney is trying to artificially hype this movie up a lot more than just the actual hype
Yeah,
is.
I mean, it's like a character that nobody knows and comics that nobody knows, and it's dumb
and
looking.
a
But
Hollywood star that no one really, I mean, the thing that...
it has Michelle Yeoh.
I mean, so guys like us, I know a lot of these casts. Like, you know, it's a good cast. But,
No, it has Awkwafina. Don't say that.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Awkwafina sucks. But it's a solid cast, but it's not a bunch. The Marvel Cinematic Universe got popular because of Robert Downey Jr. Let's just be real about it. Because Iron Man was a huge hit, and then they were like, well, now we got to grow on this. Let's get Chris Hemsworth. Let's get the other Chris. Let's just get all the Chris Evans. Let's just assemble it. Let's get Ruffalo. Let's just get all of the people that are big in Hollywood and cram jam. Let's get Scarlett Johansson. Let's get Renner. Let's just get them all. And then they did. And they're trying to build, Cumberbatch, like getting Cumberbatch. That was a huge get. And then Paul Rudd, that was a huge get. I mean, that got me in the theater. And not because I wanted to watch a Marvel movie, but because I like watching Paul Rudd just be Paul Rudd. And Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, sign me up, dude. But I feel like this movie is it's going to be an interesting thing to see how this movie rallies, because I don't know if it's going to be positioned, and I'm going to say some stuff that might ruffle some feathers. It's not going to be positioned in the same political social climate that Black Panther was to get the big success. Don't lean away from me when you say all this stuff when the mics are off. Like, I'm not afraid of the mics. But Black Panther had a hype train that was bigger than the movie. It was
Black Panther was also Lion King. Like we talked about.
It was Lion, but
it was a proven successful thing because Lion King was just King Lear or whatever.
But the Black Panther movie was set up to almost be a movement.
It wasn't King Lear. It was Hamlet.
Hamlet, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember going on opening weekend to see Black Panther, and there were people dressed in, traditional African, attire, being like, Wakanda forever. It was a movement. And they got that social kind of political internet fandom to go push this movie because it had meaning. And while this movie, I feel like Disney was trying to do the same thing with an Asian community, they haven't really captured that same sort of like, this movie is more than just a movie because it is an all Asian cast and it is about, an Asian character in an Asian set Marvel movie. It doesn't have that same buzz. And so I'm curious to see how this shakes down in the box office. Even one of the Disney executives, and I think he made a bad slip, he said that it was an experiment. And I'm like, dude, bro, don't call this movie an experiment, because what you're doing is revealing the fact that you're like, well, let's put a bunch of Asians in it and see if it does well. That was your experiment, you son of a bitch. Like, how about you just make a good movie? It doesn't, dude, Asian stories are always the best ones. That's why Jake watches all
talking about some foreign films.
Dude, talk about foreign films. That's why we got degrees in the shit, because it's awesome. And I just hope that American audiences will not just be afraid of it because it's not familiar, but I fear that they will, because most American audience members are just kind of dumb. I remember when I worked in the movie theater, like, hey man, y'all remember What's Good, guy? Hey, what's good, man? I ain't never heard of that one. I don't know. I'm gonna go with that one that I heard. Robert Downey, man. That cat is hilarious, man. I'll go see whatever he's in. Like, you're idiots. Not you guys. You guys are awesome. But the proverbial you that aren't listening. Y'all are all idiots. But I don't know.
You know what? Well, you know what actually looks the coolest about that movie is you said RDJ is what made the Marvel movies popular, but the first MCU movie was The Incredible Hulk, and it
didn't get popular.
No, but it introduced characters and villains and things like that. And we get to see one of those villains make his first return after
It's
every.
like, where's he been?
It was from the first Marvel movie, and now they're finally bringing him back after however many of these dumbass
What was
movies.
his name? Like
Abomination.
The Abomination.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get to see some other Hulk things return, like the leader that they started to establish and things like that.
The leader's such a weird, giant-headed goober. Like that character, I never liked him growing up. I was like, he was the Hulk's arch nemesis, clearly the arch nemesis of the Hulk for a long time.
Because he was all brain and Hulk was all brawn.
Yeah, it was
That's
perfect pairing. But he looked so stupid.
Yeah, but imagine this. What if we get a Mr. Fix-It movie because Hulk stuff starts to take off?
That'd be kind of tight.
I want a gray Hulk movie.
Well, like Sam just said in Facebook, he wants a Beta Ray Bill movie.
The world's not ready for Beta Ray Bill. That's like...
nobody's ready for
the world's
Beta
not
Ray.
ready for a Mr. Fix-It movie. That's never going to happen.
Or Plastic Man.
I need a Plastic Man movie, though. I need that.
They're gonna make one, and it's gonna be bad.
I need it in my life.
It's like a Tick. The world's never ready for Tick.
We are. No, I don't think that we'll ever get Mr. Fix-It or Beta Ray Bill or any of the fun things.
No, we're not.
Let's get a Thunderstrike movie.
I don't think they're ready for that.
That was
either.
like 90s Thor.
Our own Facebook, one of our moderators that could be at least 3 other people that's not us, is asking, what if we got a David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury in the Multiverse of Madness?
Please.
Pauly Shore should be Plastic Man.
Pauly Shore would be a good Plastic Man. I would actually watch that. I would watch that.
Dude. Yes.
Wheeze the juice, and then his lower lip extends, and he wheezes all the juice.
So speaking of
Hasselhoff, Nick Fury is the tits.
Speaking of Pauly Shore, I know this is going to be a weird segue, but if you guys don't follow Pauly Shore on like social media, Instagram, Facebook, like you should. He is a hilarious dude, and he's still the crusty old weasel. Like he is. Just hasn't changed. But he made a video the other day that was actually pretty cool, and he's sitting there eating a sandwich because it's Pauly Shore and he gives no F's, and he's talking to his audience. He's like, you know what, guys, stop asking me to do sequels to my movies. He's like, just stop. Don't ask me, ask the studios. He goes, do you think I don't want to make another like Son-in-Law? You think I don't want to make another Encino Man? He's like, me and Sean and Brendan, we all want to make another Encino Man, but we don't own Encino Man. We don't get to make those decisions. He's like, call the studios.
Hold on.
And tweet at the studios.
A Son-in-Law
email the
sequel
studios.
could totally work.
And that's what he was saying.
Like
he
could be the one running the farm and everything.
Dude. Yeah, and he's like,
and he was munching on some grindage in this video you're talking about.
He was totally munching on some grindage, But he was like, guys, how many times do I have to tell you I don't get to make the decisions of these movies? And if they're gonna, if they feel that the demand is out there because everybody's been blowing up their inbox or their hashtags or their whatevers, their DMs, then they're gonna reach out to me and my agent and be like, hey, Pauly, you want to do this movie? And he's like, yes, thank you, please. So let that be a lesson from Pauly is, if you want to see these sequels, if you want to see these actors reprise these roles, because to them it's big fat paychecks, and they don't get to make the decisions because they don't own the rights to those movies. So hit up the studios and blaze the internet, wheeze the juice out of the internet. If you want to see these movies made. That's how Sonic got changed.
I'm going to tell you, don't wheeze the internet's juice. You don't know what's in it. You don't know.
That's dangerous juice. Let's see. Sam says it's like Ernest. There is no merchandising, and none of his big 4 are streaming. Because somebody out there owns it.
What are the big 4 of Ernest? Goes to camp, scared, stupid, saves Christmas, and
goes to camp. Yeah, those are the big 3. I don't know what the other 4 are.
No, it goes to Africa.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
That's what I'm saying. Not that one.
But Vince says that's why I never speak of Pauly Shore. Pauly Shore is goes to jail.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that where, like, the Shocker shows up? You remember that movie, Shocker, where the guy gets, like, electrocuted and, like, it's a horror movie you wouldn't understand, Jake. And he gets shocked and he has, like, electricity powers and he runs around, like, electrocuting, like, everybody to death, and it's super campy and super dumb, but it's just called Shocker. That's a fun beat. But watch, now that I've said it, everybody's going to come back and be like, oh, yeah, it's the next new cult movie, because every time I like pull one out of the old archives, it gets popular like 2 years later after I show it at a screening. Everyone's like, what's this? I've never heard of it. And then it's like all the internet talks about in 3 years. That's been the story of my life, guys. Why am I not rich? Anyway, let's see. Anyway, Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, coming out in theaters this week. We'll probably check it out. I still need to see Night House. I haven't had a chance to see that. I went and saw Candyman instead. It was a busy weekend. Let's talk about movies. You saw Vacation with Friends. What did you think about it?
Yeah, Vacation Friends with John Cena and up-and-comers. It actually wasn't bad. Just to start off, it looks like it'd be dumb. That's kind of why I was going to watch it, because I was like, this is going to be awful, but it ended up actually being a pretty decent production. It had everything that you would have expected out of like a full big budget studio theatrical release type movie. It was super goofy. And it wasn't bad. John Cena definitely steals the whole show, despite Lil Rel being
Lil Rel's been in a lot of stuff.
He's been in a lot of movies lately.
He's just everywhere.
Despite him being the main character, Marcus, who he goes on vacation, he's getting away from his job. He owns a construction company.
I feel like maybe Lil Rel and John Cena are going to be the new like Rock and what's his name?
Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad about it. They actually work really well together. But it's kind of like it's a lot of classic movie tropes of like someone uptight and normal meets somebody who's zany and wacky and doesn't have their shit together at all, and they're like, I hate this person, I can't stand them, and then they hurt that person's feelings and end up becoming best friends in some way. So it's like that story that you get out of a lot of movies, but it's done really well. It's not a completely unique perspective kind of thing, but it is an entertaining enough movie that it doesn't make you think like you're watching the same movie you've probably seen 10 times if you really stop and think about it. But it wasn't bad. I didn't have a bad time with it, and there were funny parts. But John Cena is actually really funny, and I think this movie
I was
helped establish him as a good comedy actor.
Incredibly skeptical when he entered the film arena, and after seeing Suicide Squad with him in it and some other films, like maybe not so much Fast and Furious, that was kind of trash, but
that's not his fault. That's Fast and Furious 9 is just not good. We've talked about it.
We have. You can go back and watch that episode. But I'm really starting to kind of appreciate John Cena for his own special John Cena, because he hams it up in a way that is just, he's got a good deadpan. And that is harder than people think.
Yeah, he does that. There's one scene in the movie where they go. It takes place. Part of it takes place in Mexico on vacation or whatever. And dude, the Marine rules.
No, the Marine does not rule.
Yes, it does.
It does not
dude,
rule.
It has Liquid Terminator in it. But there's one scene where they go to Lucha Libre, and Cena's sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, this is garbage. Anyone could do that." And it's kind of like, I see what you did. So it has dumb moments, but it's actually a lot of fun.
Oh, John Cena, he's an up and comer.
Yeah, he is not. But
no, in film. He's been a wrestler. He's been famous for a long time.
He's been doing movies for like 10 or 12 years now.
Yeah, but
as far outside of WWE, because he did that Sisters movie with Tina Fey and
he's an up and comer.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Anyhow, not bad. Around. It's available on Hulu.
The Cenaissance is upon us.
Oh. But yeah, it's out there on Hulu, and it's not bad.
It's not bad.
So better than some of the other big budget streaming movies that have been put out, like that one with old Marky Mark in it, where they were like immortals or whatever.
Oh yeah, you
that I got Paramount Plus just to
watch
see that
one.
movie and test out Paramount Plus, and it turned out everything on Paramount Plus is dirt garbage.
Minus.
Oh, big news we forgot to talk about: Star Trek's leaving Netflix. So you're
what?
Yeah.
No.
Tomorrow.
No. What?
Yeah, end of August is the end of Star Trek on Netflix. So your only option is to suffer through Paramount Plus. Sorry, doggy.
It's not cool, man.
It's not cool. I was just about to start rewatching DS9.
I might cry.
Mm-hmm. So Star Trek leaving Netflix. All the good series are the ones that they've talked about removing so far.
Knock Solid asks if it's all of Star Trek.
I don't think they said anything about like animated series, but as far as any of the ones you would want to watch,
man, what the hell is this? Okay, Zach's off over on Twitch brings up a really good point. Other option is to buy a box set. Physical media!
That's true.
That is what we've been talking about on the show for years.
Except...
what do you mean except?
Except... it's probably... I think it's pretty hard to find a good set of Voyager. Star Trek Next Generation Blu-ray is like crazy expensive and not a very good set.
I haven't made it
the old green Borg box set of DVDs is crazy expensive now too, and hard to find, but that's the better one, and I doubt you're gonna find DS9.
No, you're never
it's
gonna
probably
find
not
DS9.
gonna happen. And Enterprise might be a little easier to collect since it's only 4 seasons, but
it's a long road.
Getting from there to here. But, you know, I don't know. I think it would probably be hard to collect all of Star Trek, especially since it is Star Trek, which makes anything worth collecting more collectible and cost more money.
Hold up. We got a comment. It says, name 10 good episodes of Voyager.
Oh, man.
Dude.
I can't tell you the episode titles, but the two-parter, so there's 2 out of the way.
Any episode with the doctor? Literally all of them?
Yeah, Robert Picardo rules. The 2-parter where the entire ship becomes the holodeck and you get Klingons versus Nazis.
Oh, dude.
So there's 2 out of the way right there. The one where you find out that dinosaurs evolved.
The
to become
90s one where
spacefaring.
Tuvok dresses all hip-hop.
Oh, yeah, the one with Sarah Silverman. That's another 2-parter.
Yeah,
right?
and Ed Begley Jr. is
as
the evil
butthole man.
Dude. And Sarah Silverman is like the girl that helps him out on the ground in the 90s.
There is the one...
black and white holodeck episodes where they do
the Flash Gordon one?
Flash Gordon. There's like 2 of them.
Oh, the Delta Flyer race?
Yeah, the Delta Flyer, everything.
The one where they find the Ferengi from Next Generation, and they've taken over that planet.
Yeah.
And they've taught them the rules of acquisition.
The rules of acquisition. They come down, and they're like, the jig is up. And the Ferengi have been down there manipulating the whole planet for the whole time.
Because they have a replicator, and they just control the planet with the replicator.
So good.
The one where they find the super religious Klingons.
Oh, yeah, that was weird, and they had to get, and they were like, you got to leave. And they're like, nah, we're not going to leave. And
the one where the doctor is kidnapped and used in that like crazy alien hospital, and they have to go rescue him.
Oh yeah, I mean, any episode after Robert Picardo got his ability to go anywhere other, his little shoulder thing. Yeah, and the ones where the shoulder thing almost gets broken, and you're like, no, Robert Picardo. And all Robert Picardo episodes are awesome. And you know, any episode where Janeway doesn't threaten to blow the ship up.
Oh, the one where the Q wants to die. He's like a Q and he just wants to die.
Oh, that one's sad.
Yeah, but it's good.
It is good.
Yeah, it's really good. Or the one where Q asked Janeway to let him fuck her because he wants a Q baby, and then
because he couldn't get a Q baby with Picard.
Yeah, and then Worf's wife comes in, the female Andorian, as the female Q, and she's like, "Ooh, Q, I'm gonna Q you so hard because they're Smurfs now in this world that I've just created." But oh man, what do you mean 10 episodes of Voyager are good? There's so many episodes of Voyager that are good.
It's true.
Voyager kicks ass.
It kind of does. I mean, the first season's kind of stupid. Or any episode where Ensign Kim's trying to get his wiener wet, like with an alien.
Yeah, Kim's like, "Hey," and Janeway's get back on the fucking ship, and he's like, "Oh man,
oh man," and he's just like, "Bud, I'm on a starship," and they're like, Put it back in your pants, Kim. And oh, dude, it's
poor Ensign, forever Ensign Kim.
Forever Ensign Kim.
Dude, talking about people that I've met in real life, I've met Garrett Wong before. Garrett Wong is super nice too. Garrett Wong is actually a really, really cool dude.
Well, and him and John or Paris, whatever his real name is, they have a podcast. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, because they're still homies. Vince over Twitch, he says, name 172 good episodes of Voyager.
Sam coming in, Captain Proton. That's the name of the Flash Gordon episode.
Those were fun because then Janeway is like the Spider Queen.
Yes.
And dude, Voyager's pretty good.
Once Bellana got cool, anytime Bellana was around,
it took her
like
a
the
while.
later seasons.
It took her a while, but she was cool.
Yeah. I love Star Trek.
Dude, Star Trek is
and
cool.
so could you until tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, you have 24 hours. Well, not even. You have 7 hours to love Star Trek before they discontinue it. Sam says, Ensign Kim should have been traded to the Kazon for a nice hat. Aw. Those Kazon always have like the dirty sticks and twigs in their heads. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Kazon are the worst.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The zombie flesh organ harvest people were pretty terrible.
They were also weren't they in one of the movies? Or no, that was a different. I'm thinking.
You're thinking of the stretch faces,
the stretch
from
faces
Insurrection.
from Insurrection.
Or they're like, don't we look young? We look young. We're so young. We did plastic surgery. We're young. Those people.
I mean, if that isn't the most relevant, like, social commentary of today, then I don't know what is.
When they were trying to take over the planet of the super youthful people because the planet kept him young, and then Worf goes through Klingon puberty and becomes a super badass because he has.
Or any episode. The only episodes of Voyager that are good with Tuvok are the ones where he's like horny as hell and trying to murder everybody.
You don't fuck with a Vulcan with a boner, dude.
No, you don't.
That's where that original series like dun, 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 and it has like the curved blade and the big old weight on the end.
Yeah. And
Spock tries to murder Kirk because he has a hard on.
Well,
dude, Vulcan boners are no joke.
I got to talk about Candyman before we run out of time, because this movie's really cool. So anyway, enough Star Trek. We gotta talk about Candyman. Thanks whoever derailed us on talking Star Trek.
I think it was me.
I think of course it was you. So anyway, we got to talk about this new Candyman. I mean, this new Candyman in theaters right now. It is written and produced by Jordan Peele was one on the team, of course. He is kicking ass in the horror game, but not directed by him. It was directed by Nia DaCosta. And Nia DaCosta, everybody's talking about on the internet. First blockbuster, huge box office record set by an African American woman director. She knocked it out of the park with this. I've read some mixed reviews, and I feel like the reviews that people didn't really enjoy this movie were people that went to see this movie that have really no context of the Candyman franchise. And honestly, you don't need a whole lot of context for this movie to make a lot of sense, minus the original. Like, if this movie becomes way better when you see the original. There was 2 sequels to the original. There was the Farewell to the Flesh, and then Candyman 3. I can't remember the name of that one. Day of the Dead. Those movies, take them or leave them, whatever. Tony Todd, slasher, being Candyman, bees coming out of weird places. It's whatever. But the first movie, what made the first movie so interesting and so unique and have such a long staying power is it was, in the 90s, and a predominantly African-American cast telling a story about gentrification, race relations, hate crimes, all this kind of stuff that is still relevant today. And
I'm sorry, I had to laugh at the most awkward place to laugh, because to put some context on it, Sam came in and said Candyman goes to camp. I mean, come on.
That's part 4. But I think that all of these things that had relevant social commentary is what made the original Candyman stick so hard. And the first one's a really trippy movie.
Sticky Candy, yeah.
Sticky Candy. It's an interesting, weird tale about this, grad student doing this story about Cabrini Green, which is this project's neighborhood. and you know, and how gentrification and racism and all of this kind of stuff comes into play into urban legend. And urban legend is always a really fun sort of way of propelling horror, you know, because it roots it in something that everybody's a little bit familiar with. Everybody has a sort of urban legend that they grew up with, and you know, this one's kind of the razor blades and the candy, the, you know, whatever, and they built upon that but made a kind of weird universe around it. But what was brilliant about this new film is they built upon the original 1992 film, and the sort of mythos of the main character, who was played by Virginia Madsen. It was Helen Lyle. Her story becomes the urban legend in this movie. So, you know, it assumes that what happened in the 90s Candyman actually took place, but now it's 2021, and the neighborhoods are getting gentrified. Cabrini Green is fenced in, it's abandoned, it's set to be demolished and turned into luxury condominiums, much like everywhere else in the country. I mean, especially here in Northwest Arkansas if you live here. So that hit home. But they were like, oh yeah, they go digging, and it's like the story of Helen Lyle, this lady that went crazy, because in the movie, as a viewer, you know, it was Candyman, and you know, like, and the people that experienced that moment realized she was the hero at the end when they had that bonfire, and they're like, okay, we're not going to talk about this shit no more because, oh, geez. But then as urban legends evolve, she becomes kind of the villain, like this crazy white lady that comes in and steals this baby and murders all these people, and she even beheaded this dog. What the hell? And it becomes a part of the tapestry of this film, and it was such slick writing because it worked and it fit this movie without feeling super heavy-handed or even like nod wink winky. It just became a part of the story. And you know, kind of like when Evil Dead 2 took the first movie and kind of like goes, yep, here's what happened right at the beginning, and it felt good and it felt natural. This kind of did the same thing but stretched it out and used that same fabric to kind of weave this new story. And then the one thing that I didn't like, though, is it kind of set it up for several sequels, the way that they opened up and expanded the Candyman mythos. But what was really, really cool is, you know, this cast was just fantastic in the way that it breathed some new life into this story, where, you know, Yahya Abdul-Mateen, he was the main character, Anthony, and just owned it. And the fact that he kind of looks like a young Tony Todd anyway, with that big freaking square jaw and menacing stature, helped this evolution of this character kind of really come to life, and he sold the show for me. And there was, you know, a great supporting cast here that made it feel fresh, made it feel updated, still dealt with the same issues of, you know, racism and gentrification, but dealing with it in a way that's kind of fun, because you have very affluent, successful African Americans that are kind of almost above both gentrification. They're a part of the gentrification process, but then having to revisit it as, you know, participants of this problem that, you know, used to affect people of color in that same spot years back. So it had this weird duality to it that most people are probably not going to read really far into, but it just made it really exciting and really cool and just poignant as hell. And then, you know, you get these weird slashing murder spots that you know, Candyman's all about breathing life into the myth, and the more that people talk about it and the more that people believe, the more powerful he becomes. And you see like this Candyman was forgotten, like
the gods in Marvel Comics,
like the gods in American Gods or Marvel Comics, or, you know, or just gods in general. But you see this new opening up the door of like Candyman was almost gone, but now we've opened it back up, and man, it was good. Shout outs to Jacqueline on Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. But Sam says probably better than most reboots. I would say hands down.
It's not like a reboot, right?
It's not a reboot.
Sequel.
It's reinvigorating a franchise. They didn't try to recreate the wheel. They didn't try to tell a new story. They didn't try to whatever. They said, this was awesome. Let's kind of maybe forget the two sequels and build back upon this franchise, kind of like what the last John Carpenter Halloween really did. It's like, let's revisit this narrative maybe after it picks up the last good movie and kind of scrub these other ones out and pick up the torch. And I would say, as a horror sequel, reinvigorating universe, one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. Really cool shadow puppetry to tell some of the folklore. It was just so fun to watch. The whole credits, the end credits, were really spooky and haunting, and it was all done with shadow puppets, and they were telling. There's a lot of little vignettes of stories about, like, Candyman is not just one guy. It's all of these, like, kind of hate crimes that have happened that kind of propel the power into this, like, character.
Well, and with that, you see what Bottle Rocket said here. Them saying "say his name" kind of reminded them of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. Did it have that?
It had that same power, and that was intentional. That same power, that same strength, because that was what the kind of new twist that they're taking to Candyman is. He is this kind of vengeful spirit of that sort of, what's happening in these hate crimes and these injustices, and they manifest into this, like, horrible negative spirit that just is out for blood. Without kind of hammering that in, it kind of leaves these lingering notes of, like, oh geez, what if? And Bottle Rocket just hit the nail on the head. That the whole that say his name. I mean, we just experienced that, and I think that's what made this movie stick so hard. I mean, for a slasher horror sequel franchise, you don't expect it to be a really poignant bit of social commentary. And I think that's where Jordan Peele really helped guide this with Nia DaCosta to really, like, steer this into a really, really interesting film that I think, even if you're not a fan of horror, this movie just, like, sticks the landing. Sam says, or Freddy and Freddy versus Jason. We're not going to talk about Freddy versus Jason right now.
Oh, why not?
But Sam says, I hope they didn't crap on the sequels like Terminator Dark Fate Crew did. No, it just didn't really talk about it. But
that was the first thing I thought when you said, when you pointed out that there were other sequels prior to this, was the Dark Fate, how they're like, oh, well, everything after 2 didn't exist, and we're just going to do this as a direct sequel and pretend like they weren't there. But Terminator, I think those sequels are more out there and ingrained in the stories of those already, and harder to ignore.
But the way that they ended this film is it opened it up to where, yes, it said that these sequels probably exist in this world where Candyman is real. So it didn't dismiss them. It didn't exactly acknowledge those storylines, but it did. And in a way, it kind of did. But it left this world and this character and this urban legend open enough to where those sequels, even though they weren't great, plug right in a very sort of natural and fun way. I just can't say enough good stuff about this movie. The music was spooky and great, and the cinematography was fantastic. The shadow puppets, I cannot stress enough how cool it is. What I don't want to see is a sequel to this. And the cameo by Tony Todd was perfect. Like, I audibly was like, yeah, in the theater, and I think I was the only person in the theater that had any clue what was happening. I think everybody else was like, why did his face change? And who's this guy? And I was like, oh my God, that is Tony Todd! And it was super cool. And it did it tastefully. It totally did it tastefully. So Vince says, even though I wasn't a huge fan of Peele's Twilight Zone, I am bummed it's not coming back. Could have been much better than it was. I also agree. Sam says, I'll check it out when it comes on Paramount Plus. Go see it in the theater if we want to see more. And speaking of seeing it in the theater, a lot of people went to see it in the theater. Bottle Rocket says, while we were waiting the whole time to see him, when we did, it was all... So that was me. I was like, when's Tony Todd going to come up? Because when you first see Candyman, you're like, that's not Tony Todd. When you first hear the voice, you're like, that's not Tony Todd. You're like, what the hell? I'm bummed. And you're like, I'm not going to get any Tony Todd. It was bait and switch. And then when it happened, you're just like, oh, yes. Oh, yes. and it was good.
Both foreign films over there.
Dude, I'm telling you, I was so pumped walking out of that theater. But anyway, let's talk about the box office roundup before we run out of time tonight. Speaking of Candyman, it was the #1 film in America,
nice.
Bringing in $22 million at the box office. Pretty good opening for a horror film. I know that there was a lot of hype behind this movie. We'll see how it goes next weekend against Shang-Chi. But the #2 movie in America was Free Guy, bringing another $13 million. Doing pretty good. Clearly already greenlit for another sequel. We're going to get... Well, so is Jungle Cruise. They've already greenlit another sequel to that.
But both of those end in a way that there's not sequels.
Well, you know, the Disney. Leave it to Disney. But Free Guy, $78.9 million at the box office. #3, Paw Patrol, in its second weekend release, coming out with $6.6 million, bringing it up to $24 million at the box office. #4, Jungle Cruise, holding it down with another $5 million at the #4 spot in its fifth week, bringing over $100 million at the box office. I mean, for COVID numbers, those are pretty good. You know, even though we're going to... I think our local AMC's not doing Monday, Tuesday shows again, which bums me out because I was going to go see Night House. But, you know, we'll see. Maybe it's a staffing issue. I don't know. Our AMC is just not doing good right now. I did get my flatbread, though.
We finally got Vernon coming in, seeing
the Gunder Pickle shirt. There it is. Let's see. We had #5, Don't Breathe 2, bringing in another $2.8 million for Screen Gems.
Damn, look at that. Its entire box office take is what Candyman brought in first
this
week.
one weekend. Yeah, $24.6 million total in 3 weekends for Don't Breathe 2. Candyman did that this weekend. I mean, it's good. It's worth it. #6, RESPECT, Respect, coming in with $2.2 million, bringing in $19 million total in its third weekend release. #7, Suicide Squad, dropping down to #7, bringing in $2 million. So far in its 4 weeks, it's brought in $52.7 million. #8, The Protege, bringing in $1.6, and #9, The Night House, bringing in $1.2, and then hanging in there, #10, which is crazy because it's been in there for 6 weekends and has beat Reminiscence, which was in its second weekend, plummeted just straight off the charts. Only brought in $820,000, but Old brought in another $800,000 this weekend, bringing it up to $46 million.
Bro,
so.
In 2 weeks, Reminiscence has only taken in $3.5 million.
But it's like on Netflix or whatever.
HBO.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like there. Everybody's watching it. So let's see. Let's hit these comments. Let's catch up on these comments before we sign off.
So was Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad brought in 53, and it was on HBO.
It's comic books, man. Everybody loves that stuff. Let's see. Vince says Fathom Events is adding a lot of stuff. Got a double feature of Dracula and Frankenstein on October 2nd. That's awesome. Double feature of Invisible Man and the Wolfman on October 30th. Also awesome. And says, please join Jake and watch the celebration of the Golden Girls on September 14th and 21st. Stay gold, Jakey boy.
Hey, you know what? I did mean to talk about Fathom Events earlier. They are adding lots and lots of stuff. I already have my tickets to go watch Spirited Away in the movie theater here coming up early next month. The Ghibli stuff is about to start up, so each month has new Ghibli movies that they are showing. October has some good ones. They have Labyrinth coming up, which I have tickets for already as well. They have tons of things coming up, man. It's worth checking out Fathom Events just to see what they have coming up that's going to be released soon. There's something every week. They have incredible things going throughout the end of the year, and you'll be able to catch a lot of movies that'll definitely be good to watch in the theater. Hopefully they'll do Princess Bride again soon so that I can watch it in the theater, since my theatrical experience with that movie was ruined by our local Malco.
Yeah, that was terrible.
So
looking at you, Malco.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing Labyrinth and not having that happen.
Yeah, that'll be good. Well, Fathom Events, always a good time. Check out your movies. Support your local theater. Trust me, it's just as safe as anywhere else. I know you're already going. What?
Malco's still doing the Safety
seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went back to that, and I think AMC's probably about to start again. So they've really cracked down on their mask policy and all this kind of stuff as well. So there you go. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We are out of time. We got to go, but make sure you like, subscribe, drop us those subs over on Twitch and those follows. We definitely really appreciate it when you do, because it gives us a little bit of money.
We can't end the show like this.
What do you
Knock
mean?
Solid came in saying that Labyrinth sucks. Wow, that is a hot take right there. I've never heard anyone feel that way.
What? It's only forever.
Yeah.
Like, why would you?
It has Ludo and Bowie and talking dogs, riding dogs.
Dude, dogs on dogs. The little dog that's on the dog. He's got the little sword.
Sardidimus.
Yeah. Epididymis. What? Weird. Yeah, you're wrong. I'm sorry, Knox. We really appreciate you tuning in.
Well,
but
and
you
Vince,
know,
of
we're going to
course,
change
Vince
your
hates,
mind.
Vince hates all good movies.
Yeah, dude.
Vince's
like,
no-go
Goonies
list is
isn't fun.
Goonies and Labyrinth. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, these stupid classic movies
Duh.
everyone loves.
So
Childhood's dumb. I hate childhood.
Yeah, I hate being a fun, carefree youth. I grew up on the streets. But Knox Solid, we love you too.
Yeah, I appreciate our viewers. Just don't know that you've ever watched movies before.
Well, anyway, we got to get out of here. We'll be back next week, Monday night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, right here. Find us on Facebook Live, Twitch Live, YouTube Live, or download the audio version of this wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, I am the Boom Operator.
I'm Slick Doggy.
And we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.